You sound like someone that would live in my fucking neighborhood. You are definitely someone that would have had a problem with my pussy power flag. Like, I know Alan Royal. I know exactly who the fuck you are. I wish you had social media. I would love to flame you. But you don't. Like, you're just some fucking loser inserting his 2 cents. Hello. Welcome to Middle-Aged Millennial MILF Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Strickland, coming to you today to talk about books. Yes, that's right. The author's wife is here to talk about books because, contrary to popular belief, I did read before I met him. Actually, books is something I feel really passionate about and have always been a big reader because we didn't have the internet when we were growing up. But I remember my dad introduced me to reading because before we would take a nap, because if you know anything about the Petersons, is that the Petersons, we love a good nap. So before we would take a nap, my dad would read to me. And my father still reads a lot to this day. I'm assuming, I guess I haven't talked to him in a few years. I'm assuming he still reads a lot, but he did until I quit talking to him. And I just always really loved it. It felt like a really special time with us. And I remember learning how to read in the first grade. My first grade teacher, Mrs. Black, who apparently was an alcoholic. I never knew she was drunk. So you do you, Mrs. Black. And then I felt like once I learned how to read, it really just opened up this whole world for me. And I became obsessed with Babysitter's Club books. I don't know. I'm sure other girls, you read Babysitter's Club books. Nancy Drew didn't do it for me, Boxcar Kids, but I loved the Babysitter's Club books. Like, I owned every one. I made sure that I owned every one. We had an amazing used bookstore in Sandwich, which is no longer there when we went back to visit, but it was just amazing. Like, it was very big and they had tons of Babysitter Club books. In fact, I was such a reader that when I got in trouble, my parents would ground me from reading. You didn't do your chores. You know what? Let's keep you from the one thing that's keeping you sane here and educating yourself to have a better life. No, you're going to be a dumb and stare at the wall. That was great fucking parenting, guys. But Babysitter's Club books, they just did it for me. Like, second grade, I was like, I want to be like them. And Stacy was into fashion and Claudia was the artist and Christy, and I loved all of them. And then they had like the super series where they would go like to Disneyland and everyone had a different chapter in it. And then they had the Little Sisters with Karen. And like, I'm telling you, I was all about these until I was about the age that they were in the books. And I was like, 13-year-olds aren't talking about sports bras or bras. Like, 13-year-olds nowadays are talking about much more explicit things. So I started to outgrow them. I was also that nerd in school that, like, when they gave you a book to read for school, if I liked it, I finished it the first day. Like, I remember The Giver. They're like, read a chapter a day or whatever. No, I read that whole fucking book. I loved The Giver. I loved Indian in the Cupboard, which they had like sequels. And then they had that shitty movie with that really embarrassing kid that's like, like, whatever happened to him? I'm sorry. But I just loved it. And then I kind of advanced into like Sydney Shelton and Jackie Collins. And I loved Jackie Collins has always been a favorite. So a trashy beach read just gets me. Yeah, Jackie Collins, like, and rest in peace, Jackie. But some of your stuff got a little cliche. The book that changed, shaped, influenced my life until probably 4 or 5 years ago. I loved Courtney Love. I was a huge Hole fan. Everything Courtney Love, read her autobiography, everything. And I guess she was obsessed with this book, Valley of the Dolls. So I found one at a garage sale in my neighborhood that I moved into. And I remember reading it on the bus. And if you are familiar with Valley of the Dolls, it's not a happy ending story. So I read that and was like, this is it. And that was my favorite book. And I loved it. I read it a million times. I feel like I became a self-fulfilling prophecy with the prescription pills, but I just was like, yep, this is what you do. And I would like tell other people to read it and stuff. And like I said, it is still a great book, but you need to read it knowing this is a cautionary tale, not a step-by-step guide how to fuck up your life. So, and I thought like, oh, they need to make another Valley of the Dolls movie and this and that. And Once you get off drugs, you're like, I don't think we should glorify that for people anymore. It's not cool to have a prescription pill problem. So, and I have probably 4 or 5 copies of Valley of the Dolls. It's on my Kindle. Like I said, there's a very complicated relationship with that book. And then I read all of Jacqueline Suzanne's books. I remember waiting for Little Bitch Girl to come out, Jackie Collins, at like Barnes and Noble, and bought the book back then. This was pre-Kindle. Danielle Steele, loved Danielle Steele. Anything that says it spans the generations. If it starts at World War II and then spans the generations, like, I'm in. I love a good family story and like how it evolves, and then the kids, and like, I just love it. I also love weird books. So I read Looking for Mr. Goodbar, which is a classic, Judith Rosner, and I was going through all of her books, and there's this book called Attachments, which I will show you, like old, like old book. And that became a favorite of mine, and I still enjoy it, but it's about this woman who becomes obsessed with these like conjoined twins that she sees in a magazine. So she like tracks down their house and becomes friends with them, and like talks her girlfriend from high school or college into being with the other one. And it's these two married to these Siamese twins. Like, it's weird. And I understand it's like symbolic of how, all that. I get the symbolism stuff, but it's fucking weird. And it's fucking weird that high school Sarah was like, yeah, this is for me. So there's moments in my life where I'm like, I'm weird. Like, I'm sure that people think like Drew's the weird one in the relationship, and make no mistake, he's weirder than I am. Honey, I love you, but you are weirder than I am. But I have these weird things, like where I like weird fringe things. I also loved the Dexter series, not just the TV show. I read the books because of the TV series, but I also, for a while, was listening to books on tape. And sometimes those get weird and I don't understand. Like, I have to go back and read the book. Like, that Poor Little Bitch Girl, I also listened to book on tape, and I missed a lot. I prefer to read them, I think. But on the flip side of that, which we'll cover later, I enjoy Drew's audiobooks more than anybody else's. My father loved nonfiction books too. True crime. I became kind of like that too. I remember being a little kid in Sandwich and getting weirdly obsessed with things like Abraham Lincoln. And I would do all this research on Abraham Lincoln and like his assassination. Houdini, I got like a weird obsession with. I don't know what was up with that. Then it was famous wives like Priscilla Presley, anything like that. I'd want to read about famous wives. I think that's what I figured I was going to be doing myself. And then Fern Michaels. Here's another one where they do weird shit, and it really takes away from the book. Fern, I loved your Sisterhood series. It's not Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. This is a sisterhood, and it's about, the first one's called Weekend Warriors. And this woman's daughter is like killed in a hit and run. And then they get all these like women that like the system let down, and they're vigilantes and they're rich. And like, it's very interesting. But in at least 4 different places in each book, a character fist pumps, like, yeah, like puts their hand up in the air, or they do weird shit like that. And it's just like, Fern, do you think people are doing this? It's taking me away from the book. And also, she had ones that span generations, and that's what I really liked too. It was like Vegas rich and Texas and Kentucky, but in every book she'll have like an unrequited love. Like, okay, this woman is like, oh, she falls in love with a rich man, and then like, oh, he cheats on her, and it's, oh, but he's her first love. And then like, there's some other guy she's in love with, but no, we can't be together. And then they'll finally get together at the end of the book, and then no shit, the next book, that guy's like a weird piece of shit and they don't want to be in the relationship anymore. Like, it's really weird pacing, and I'm going through it right now. I'm rereading Texas Rich and whatever, all the Texas ones for it. And then also, so she did Texas first, and then she did Vegas. And in all the Vegas books, the Texas characters are in it. And like a big part of it, like this one person's best friend, she goes into business with her. Rereading the Texas books, these were clearly before because there are no mention of the Vegas people. And it is very, very like disjointing to be like in the Vegas books, this person was a part of it. You're not like it really throws it off, Fern. I think she could have had series. I think she could have had movies. I don't know what happened, but Fern, you blew it. Like, I think it's time there needs to be a new vigilante series that makes sense, that is new, where there's not a ton of fist pumps or people being with the wrong guy. Recent years? I don't even, maybe last 15 years. I don't know. True crime. I became obsessed with true crime. Love it. Read it as a kid, like shouldn't have read it. I read Cruel Sacrifice by Aphrodite Jones. And that was about where they killed that 12-year-old girl. And it was horrible. Like they tortured her. And I remember reading that when I was like 12 and probably shouldn't have because it was one of the most horrific things. And the tough part, so true crime I read before I had kids was fine. Once you have kids, anytime there's kids in it, it's your kid. And it's awful. And it's tough, especially when they get graphic. There's this guy, this author, Ryan Green, who I quite enjoy, but he gets graphic with some of the things with kids, and it's just tough. And I never thought I'd be that person. I kind of always thought, I'm like, I'm fine, I can handle anything. But no, I'm a mom, plain and simple. I'm a mom, and I want to protect all kids, not just my kid. And it's really tough. So like, guys, come on, quit hurting kids. My favorite, and I tried to get him on the podcast, but he is very shy and wouldn't do it, is Robert Keller. He never lets me down. He releases a book a month. Drew got me an autograph book. And it's cool because then you can learn about cases that you didn't know, but also the problem with true crime is there's not as much product as you would think. So, like, I can't read about Mary Bell anymore. Like a lot of them, I'm like, yep, I know about Bundy. I know, like it's just rehashing. So it's really trying. Like I love when we can get the new stories. So Robert Keller, cannot recommend enough. Probably my favorite author. Definitely favorite author of true crime. Love it. And then I would love to watch Snapped because they would have authors on there too. Greg Olson, Aphrodite Jones would be on Snap. So I always try to remember all those authors and look up their true crime. Anne Rule, I was very into Anne Rule. Like that, I think was my first true crime because she kind of had anthologies. It was cool. She had like a longer story and then she had case files at the end, which was like 3 different stories. And then she died. It was so fucking sad. But you also, because I use Kindle Unlimited. I don't particularly like to pay for books. I know that sounds awful. But in doing that, you get some weirdness. So here's what I've been noticing the trend in true crime, and maybe other people have noticed it. There's a lot of inserting themselves into it. So when I read true crime, I want it to start off with the crime. I want them to go into the people into it, interview people like that. I don't need to know. I was the CNN reporter and I remember covering this, and I don't give a shit. I'm trying to learn about the crime, not your fucking career. So I used to, on the drugs, I would obsessively go on Wikipedia and I would read about like plane crashes and missing people and stuff like that. So I was very aware of the Lauren Spear in Indiana missing case. So he's like, oh, I have all this new information. The new information was that he had covered it. He like felt the need to talk about his own like scandal when he was dating a hooker that he had interviewed, and then like him, I'm so close to the parents of this missing girl, and his new information was that he got the gentleman on the phone that they think had something to do with it. This was his big bombshell. And basically it just felt like this guy wanted to talk about himself. It didn't feel like anything more came from this Lauren Spear. And that that sucks. Like, I don't know how her family felt reading it, but I just felt like it was this guy fucking talking about himself. But the worst that I have seen recently, that's just, sir, we did not need to know your opinion. Alan Royal, I'm sure you're not listening, but I was reading your book and I came across this. In 2004, he played Alexander Petrovsky in 9 episodes of the utterly lamentable Sex and the City, the series that practically screams it's okay for women to be promiscuous sluts, quote, like guys. Pity. I always considered women to be about 4 classes above us. This lousy show does them no favors at all. Mikhail was a Scientologist, but turned in his Thetan. Oh, Alan Royal, you're clearly a boomer or older. Your sex is pig. I can't even describe how wrong you are and how you don't, like, this was a story about famous people that were Scientologists. And you turned it into slut shaming the ladies of Sex and the City, a show that I might add shaped hundreds of thousands of women, showed them that you don't need a trad wife situation, that there are other options. I don't need you considering me to be 4 classes above you, and the fact that if I need some dick and I go get it, that I'm not. Sir, we don't care about your opinion. Believe me, no one fucking cares about Alan Royal's opinion. Nobody gives a shit about my opinion. I'm not delusional. But how dare you attack something that is so important to so many women and help show them that they didn't need to just be with a man? You sound like someone that would live in my fucking neighborhood and go on the Facebook and bitch and moan about things. Like, you are definitely someone that would have had a problem with my pussy power flag. Like, I know Alan Royal. I know exactly who the fuck you are. I wish you had social media. I would love to flame you, but you don't. Like, you're just some fucking loser inserting his 2 cents. Please quit slut shaming women. Because if men weren't pushing for sex all the time, I'm sure a lot less of us would be sluts, but it's kind of expected. So I am really, really, really sick of also the onus being on us. It's like the, don't wear tank tops, you're going to give men the wrong idea. Maybe teach men that our pussies aren't just up for them to take whenever they want, that they need to talk to us and treat us nice, and then maybe we'll sleep with them. But that's not where we're at as a society. I won't get political because somebody on the YouTube said, and then you had to make it political. Also, honey, we are living in Nazi Germany. I voted for Kamala Harris, and I am stuck in Nazi Germany with a crazy fucking man, multiple crazy men, running our country into the ground, literally trying to take away women's voting rights. Here's the deal, ladies. If you won't be able to vote, if your birth certificate doesn't match your name on your driver's license, don't fucking change your name. That's what we need to do. We get married, I'd be like, sure, I'll marry you. But no, I'm not going to have your name because then I don't have an identity and then your vote counts for mine. So here's how we counteract it, ladies. Sure. Cool. You can also vote with your passport. So you all married ladies need to go get your passport. Your marriage license is a legal document. Go down with your birth certificate, your marriage license, and your driver's license. If this does not work, this is literally, they are taking away the vote, and we need to do something. So, sorry, woman who was super offended about me talking about politics. It is literally infecting our whole country. I don't know if you're American or not, but it fucking sucks if you are. So ladies, here's the deal. We're just not going to change our names anymore. If you get married, that's fine. You want to pass the SAFE Act? Cool. Then we're not going to be the little women anymore. Right, ladies? That's our fucking withhold the pussy and don't change your name. Name of the game. Anyway, back to books. Sorry. Alan Royal And it's all Alan Royal's fault, too. Let me add that I went off on a fucking political tangent. Alan Royal's a sexist piece of shit. I would love to talk to you, sir. I would love to hear more about promiscuous sluts. I would love to hear your opinion on other women's vaginas that you have nothing to do with. Like, that's totally what I'm waiting around in life for. Back to books, guys. So in college, this was pre 50 Shades of Grey. And I feel like everyone acted like 50 Shades of Grey and like that opened up the smut thing. Like, I was reading, I don't remember them. Okay, here's the deal. I used to have books, hundreds of books, and I moved them like to 4 different houses. And then I got a Kindle and I was like, this is ridiculous. I am moving bins upon bins of books that I don't even like to read books anymore because I'm so spoiled by my Kindle. So anyway, I don't have a lot of the books anymore. I don't have the names, but there was like this, it was smutty. And it would always be like a woman and a man. But in every book, the man ended up taking it in the ass for somebody. They'd be straight men, but a situation would come about that they like had sex with another man. And I just remember being like, is this what life is like? Like every man ends up having sex. And like we would be in Applebee's and I would be reading it. And all our friends were like, oh my God, Sarah, you're so bad. I can't believe you're reading that. And then like by the time 50 Shades of Grey came in, I was like, all right, I've been reading this for fucking 10 years. Big deal. Our fucking grandmas were reading the Fabio covered one. So don't act like you reinvented the wheel, you fucking weirdo, with your fan fiction. And that's also like I do. So the Kindle's great. The Kindle is great. I can travel. I love that you can just get a book instantly. It's so nice. But there's something so, I don't know, amazing and just simple and lovely to going into a used bookstore. And just, I would love to go on the dollar books and just look and see and just find these hidden gems. And maybe I need to get back into that. Like maybe I need to start having more physical books and touching them, and because I just really love them. And like I said, Kindle ruined me. And also, I feel like Kindle opened the doors for a lot of people to self-publish. Like I said, that insert themselves that are not great. I also hate when you want to charge me $8 for a book that's 74 pages. Not going to do it. But nice try. So I was a big reader, loved it. Never wanted to be a writer, particularly. I did journalism, but so it was really funny, not funny, but made sense that Drew became an author. So my husband worked at a dry cleaner. He did sound for movies, and then he became an author, I think 6 or 7 years ago. And he did all the research and he went to these conferences without me, like it was during the drug years. And he really built this great community and stuff. So once I got better and could go, he's like, go with me, go to this one in Florida. So I went to this one in Florida. I'm going to put a caveat on this. Authors, I love you. I love all of you. But that first one was a little rough for me, because I was coming from retail. I was coming from Scottsdale, Arizona. All of our customers were like me. All my coworkers were like me. Extroverted, X, Y, and Z, super fashionable. So I went to this authors conference, which is a lot of introverts. It's a lot of, they're not around a lot of people and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is not for me. But I got to know everybody. And now, without a doubt, that is my tribe. Like, I love all of you indie authors. I think you're amazing. I don't think you're weirdos. I think I also had PMDD right then. So there was a lot going on. But it's also so neat to just kind of like see these guys, in the zone, and they're talking about their books and they're talking about how to advertise them and like just the differences and how excited they get. And it's just so neat. Like I said, I can't really explain it. Like, you just kind of have to go, and they're like vacations, and you learn stuff and you get free stickers, and I just love it. And in fact, last year we went to NINC again, and then we went to Author Nation, which used to be 20 books. I did not go to 20 books. It was started by Greg Martell, I think. I never went. My next statement is just my guess, but from what I've heard, it was a good old boys club. And also, going to try to be as diplomatic as possible with this. Some of the authors seem to have big heads, and they basically just want jerk off sessions around them. Like, tell me how great I am. And I feel like Joe and Suze, who took over the conference last year and going forward, are trying to make it a business and make this where careers are built, not just padding their egos. And I'm not saying that 20 books didn't help people. It didn't. I'm not. It helped a lot of people. But the vibe, like I said, sounded like a lot of ego padding and not for me. So Author Nation this past year was so cool for me to see. And like I said, I really felt like this was my people. Like, I had wanted this plotter otter so bad. And the year before, like, I was trying, and he said no. And then I ran into him at Author Nation. I was like, I want that otter. So he's like, all right, go to this thing and I'll give it to you. And he did. And I like dressed up in it. And Elizabeth Ann West, who does Raptor Right, gave me a raptor. And also at Author Nation is where this was all born. You know, this was where I got on stage with Kevin Smith and launched the podcast. And it gave me the courage to do this. Everyone has a podcast. Even Michelle Obama's having trouble with her. Like, Michelle, I feel it. Like, my 3 listeners and I totally understand. Like, we're up against stiff competition. But being up on that stage with somebody of his caliber and holding my own really just showed me that this is what I want to do and this is what makes me happy. So I like to say that these are where careers are made, at these conferences. And this year I'm actually helping out at Author Nation as like a concierge. So Suze, Amanda, and I are going to be in charge of the vendors and making sure everybody has everything that they need. And it's just so neat because since I left retail, like, it's hard. I love working for myself. I love helping Drew. I love all of that. But you also start to miss some of you feel accomplished. Like, I have to finish a table, I would feel accomplished. I get the jewelry straightened, you feel accomplished. And it's really hard when you're doing stuff like this to have that feeling. And I also was a district manager. I was a manager. I loved managing people. I loved helping people. I loved taking care of things. I love the customers. So I have really been missing that in my life, and getting to help out at this conference and deal with the vendors and really be in my wheelhouse and be this extrovert and help people out is just, it's a dream. And I feel so, I don't like to say blessed because we're not Christian, but blessed and honored. And I really feel like Drew and I are also very loyal. So Suze and Joe now have us. Like, we are yours. We're your Author Nation couple, whatever you need. I will say, though, the tough part about going to these authors conferences is I start to feel really guilty that I'm not reading everybody's book. Like Tom's going to be on the podcast. I still need to read his book. I'm just really bad about it if it's not true crime or if it's fiction I've already read. So I'm sorry, guys. Step back. We still talk to my father and mother when Drew started publishing. And I remember my dad read all his books and he took me aside, and my father doesn't compliment anyone, certainly not me. But he took me aside, and he grabbed my hands and he said, Sarah, he's really good. He's really good, and you should know that. And that said a lot to me because, like I said, my dad doesn't compliment people. He doesn't feel the need, but he felt the need to tell me he was good. And in listening to them, I agreed wholeheartedly. And it's just inspiring to me that he has that creativity and that he can do that. I could sit here all day and tell you stories. I could chat your ear off. I could recount a million things, but if I have to come up with something like that on my own, I can't. And it just is so amazing to me to be around these people that can and have these stories that they want to share in that way. And also the narrator for the Elven series, Madison Niederhauser, is one of the best narrators I've ever heard. And of course, I'm partial. It's our narrator, but Madison is really good. And that can make or break your book. Unless It's an autobiography and like you're famous and everyone knows your voice and you're like, yep, I'm going to read my own. Fair enough. Spend the money. There are so many people that want to do it. Hell, Madison teaches drama at a college. They're on the book. You know what I mean? Go find that. It's almost like going to Fiverr or something. Like go to a school, find someone that's into that. Theater. Like there are so many different ways, but I think that everyone has a story to tell and everybody wants to write a book. Do it. Indie publishing is amazing. And I think that everyone gets caught up in getting something published with a publisher. And what you don't know is that the publisher fucks you. You get a fraction of the money. They have things in place where you can't release a book 6 months before. You can't release a book 6 months after. In fact, if you talk to a lot of traditional published authors, they have second jobs. They don't make enough to make that their full time, where these indie authors do. So it's kind of, honestly, whenever people talk about trad, I'm kind of like, well, you're just fucking yourself. Like, I'd rather have all the money and the control, but who am I? There's also AI coming out and there's so many different things. But I think that what I've learned most is there's communities of people out there that want to do what you want to do. I was reading about happiness, and it said that the 3 things that make people happiest is a good relationship, a good marriage, money, but also autonomy and being an entrepreneur and working for yourself. And I think that more people need to start exploring that with everything going on and corporations. And I don't want to make someone else money anymore. I worked my ass off for 22 years making other people money. I want to make money for myself now. I want to be able to say what I want to say when I want to say it. And if I crash and burn, I crash and burn. But I crashed and burned on my own. So I really, really implore everyone to kind of think about what would make you happy. And Drew has this great advice, and I don't take it, but he always says that you should be doing something that makes you money and then working on something you want to make you money. So he worked at the cleaners and would get up at 3 a.m. and write these books. Like, he put in the work. So by the time he was able to be a full-time author, he had really put in the work to be able to do that. And I was just like, I'm going to quit my job and help you and then figure out what I want to do. So I did not take his advice, but I think right now, everyone really needs to look out for number one. Look out for number one. Whatever that means to you, do it. That's what we voted for. That's what got voted in, is every man for themselves. And quit making money for corporations. Quit giving your money to corporations. Make it for yourself. Build your wealth. Do it your way, in a way that you can stand behind. And I think that everyone would really feel, like I said, a lot more autonomy. And they said that that's so important, because I've worked for a paycheck before. And even if you love the people, there's still things that you don't. But working for myself, like, much different. So I just really hope that everyone takes away from this that we need to get off the phones and the social media and the TikTok. And I'm not saying that these aren't valid, but reading helps your brain so much. And with all the things they've put in our food and the environment and all of that, I mean, everything is stacked against us. So we need to be doing everything we can to give our brains, our bodies, everything the best chance. I feel like I'm going to read a page a day. Maybe that becomes 2 pages. Maybe that becomes 3 pages. But not everything needs to be a huge investment. Things can also be just starting out. But I think that reading, especially teaching this to our kids and stuff, is really important. Screens need to go away. Books. So everyone, please read. Find what makes you happy. And above all else, don't forget to make today your bitch.